You're watching TVC News. At least 2,100 migrants have been registered by the Nigeria Immigration Service under the e-MIGRANT registration program, which is ongoing. In a statement, the Comptroller General of the service urged migrants, including those without proper documentation, who will be staying in the country beyond a 90-day period, to get registered within the 6 months amnesty period offered by the federal government. The amnesty space started on the 12th of July and runs till January 2020. Professor Peller was the undisputed king of magicians in Africa, often gathering large crowds that attended his performances from the 70s up until August 1997, when he was suddenly murdered in cold blood in Lagos. While many wonder why very little success was made in finding out Professor Peller's true killers, they wonder even more at his person when they get to find out what his real name is, Moshood Abiola.
Mysterious from birth, with a name synonymous to the popular MKO Abiola, Professor Peller was also named Moshood Abiola, but he was born in Iseyin, Oyo State in 1941.
Professor Peller, when he was born, he wasn't born an ordinary person. Ever since he was in primary school, he used to entertain his colleagues, because right inside his hand, when he was born, we had true evidences of this, that he had a gourd, a dough, in his hand, made of his flesh, right inside his hand before. I said,
being a disciple of Professor Peller in the 1970s, that's all. Alexander is still equipped with a few tricks.
And then I just fold it, too. I think I would be able to make 500 naira notes or 1,000 naira notes out of this. So when magic goes in the street, a lot of people say, "Oh, magician, can you help me change my 100 naira into 1,000 naira?" So I say, "Oh, king of magics, close the eyes of the examiners not to see my mistakes." And then when your eyes are closed, in a second, you keep looking, but your eyes are closed already. Being a magician is a way of life, is an art. He was Muslim, a real Muslim, a devoted Muslim. He doesn't joke. In fact, he was killed where he was praying. So, you see, when you believe magics to be mystics, that's when you see him worshipping, going into another religion. No. Magics are tricks. That's all.
Magic seems to exist in the human subconscious. It's all around, only to those who open your eyes to it. It may not be entirely strange to see people master the art of magic as a form of entertainment and business. When Professor Peller was alive, he was said to be the most brilliant magician in all of Africa.
I didn't see Professor Peller one-on-one. Sometimes you see him perform, magically on TVs, in those days. And it was a kind of a magnificent thing to us.
Professor Peller should be celebrated as the greatest musician we had during his time. And after him, we've not really had any.
Love him or loathe him, Professor Peller's legacies, according to one of his children, helped shape and made him who he is today. The professor's profession as a magician made it simple for him to leave out his legacy. He didn't have to satisfy the world.
What people don't know, especially this part of the world, Nigeria, Yoruba, we always look at magic as maybe something that has to do with religion. There are two different things. My dad was a Muslim. He chose Islam as his religion. He chose magic as a profession. So there are two parallel lines that can never meet.
Although the art of magic is not a profession for him like Zito Peller, SHINA Peller believes he is a showbiz magician turned politician.
Magic, but there's magic in whatever that we do. Magic is an act of making the impossibilities possible, especially when people think that something is not possible and you make it possible. It's magical. In the entertainment industry, what I did with Quillox is magical.
This is the Peller House, a spectacle for lovers of magic in the 1980s, but now a shadow of itself with faint symbols of magic and theatrical markings on the walls. The building is now occupied by this woman and her children. In admiration of the Peller house, an eerie feeling envelopes me, barring me from exploring the main house. Could only enter in through the lion's mouth, and there it was, the theater used by Professor Peller, which could be a museum of some sort, but now lies idle, wasting away in insane.
Professor Peller was a polygamist. There are some decisions that if you want to take, it has to be a collective decision, you know, with the rest of the family. So, but for me, it's a collective decision for the family to actually be able to say, this is what we want to use the house for. It's not something I have to say by myself.
22 years ago, when Professor Peller was assassinated actually in his house at Onepan, somewhere around Bode Thomas. The police owe us a duty of coming up to tell him and even giving us, look, feedback. What have they done? Have you closed the case? Have you were you able to pick anybody? Nothing was said about it.
His death on the 2nd of August 1997 threw up some questions at that time. Till today, no one knows for sure who killed Professor Peller. And if you did, it could be mere speculations. Another question is, has there been any other conjurer even far more impressive than Peller in Nigeria? Sarah Ayeku, TVC News, Lagos.